Hi, I'm Peach. I know that you already want to know why Boulder is so bad, so let's get started. Support the release of videos by becoming my personal sponsor or patron on Patreon. Now we are definitely starting. First of all, who is Boulder? Boulder in Scandinavian mythology is a beautiful god of light and spring. He is so beautiful and pure of heart that radiance emanates from him. His father is Odin himself, and his mother is Frigg. He also has a brothers Hodor and Hermod, and a bunch of half-brothers and sisters, including Thor and Tyr. By the way, I'll tell you later why the developers made Freya Baldur's mom in the game. In God of War 4, Baldur isn't even close to a bright god with a pure and beautiful soul. On the contrary, he is a vindictive lout. But how did the god of light and goodness turn into an asshole in the game, you ask? Well, developers decided to make him a cringy god who does nothing but hate his mom all his life. Not without reason though. The Curse of Baldur. In mythology, Baldur suddenly began to have sinister dreams that foreshadowed a death. So, his father Odin jumped on his 8-legged horse Sleipnir and rushed to Helheim, the world of the dead. There, the sorceress told him that the son would die at the hands of his own brother, the blind Hodor. But why should he kill his brother? We will talk about this later. Baldur's mother, Frigg, having found that her son was in danger of death, decided to protect him and took a promise from all living and inanimate creatures that no one would touch him. But she bypassed the only small mistletoe shrub, considering it harmless. As a result, mistletoe became Baldur's only weak point. By the way, in the game, one of the dwarves gives mistletoe arrows to Atreus as a sign of gratitude for saving him from the dragon. And when they come to Freya with these arrows, she suddenly starts to rage and burns them, asking them to destroy such arrows.
Do you understand?
But Kratos still managed to attach one to the bowstring of Atreus, because of which Baldur eventually died. Let's go back to mythology. To protect his son from death, Frigg decides to deprive him of the ability to feel anything and activates protective runes, which Baldur calls a curse. He desperately tries to find someone capable of causing him physical pain, but even Kratos upsets him. By the way, I have a video about why Baldur came home to Kratos at all, so if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to watch. So, because of the runes imposed by Freya, Baldur began to hate her. He lived with this hatred for more than 100 years. Gosh, what the heck? She knew that her son would suffer, but she preferred torment for him than death. Of course, it can also be understood, but it looks more like selfishness. Freya, by the way, was shown in the game as a mother who would easily give her life if only her son were happy. But how will he be happy if he suffers wildly? In short, cringe. Back to the question of why did Hodor kill his brother? In fact, Hodor wasn't going to kill him at all, but who knows, maybe deep down he really envied the handsome brother whom everyone adored. The real culprit in his death is the well-known god of cunning and guile named Loki. Having found out Baldur's weak spot, he crafted an arrow from mistletoe, then turned into a sexy woman and slipped the arrow to Hodor, after which he tricked him into shooting his brother. By the way, Hodor managed to get right into the heart, being blind. The only difference is that in mythology Baldur dies from an arrow, but in the game, it sticks into his hand, freeing him from protective runes. And I think it's cool that the developers didn't just kill him, but showed his emotions. How he felt at least something for the first time in many years. Not very pleasant though. It's terrible to be honest. Imagine not feeling anything from birth. Well, or almost from birth. Yeah, I know it's just a game, but still. And yet, I can't understand why Baldur is as dumb as his mom. Kinda crazy family. One is easily ready to give her life if only her son would live, and the second easily says goodbye to life although he has just begun to really live. Are you fool? Kratos speaks to you in clear language. Just dare to touch Freya and you will die. What's not clear here? No, he still carried out his revenge to the end and died. Gosh, my ass is already burned. Another interesting thing. After Balder's death, Odin lent his mutant horse to his other son named Hermod and ordered him to go to the Lady of the Dead and offer her a ransom for his son. She agreed, but on the conditions that the whole world would mourn Balder. But everything once again went wrong. Balder's death was mourned by all beings in the world except one D&T stock. As it turned out, it was Loki who turned into her, so Balder remained in the world of the dead. If the developers use this story in the next part of the game, maybe Balder will even return. But that's not for sure. At least the Scandinavians believed in his rebirth after Ragnarok. Let's go further. The very question I promised to answer at the beginning of the video: why is Freya Balder's mom? In mythology, there is a theory that Freya and Frigg, Odin and Freya's husband Od, are the same gods in different incarnations. Perhaps the developers decided to take this theory as a basis and just combined Freya and Frigg and Odin with Od. Or they just wanted to hype on more popular gods. Anyway, let's try to figure out why everyone says that Freya was Odin's lover. There is one legend in which Od is actually the earthly incarnation of Odin, and only Odin knew about it. Freya fell in love with him and thought that he was an ordinary person from Midgard. But one day, he disappeared, and everyone assumed that he was dead. But Freya couldn't accept the disappearance of her husband and cried every night. So, it turns out that she was in love with Odin without realizing it. By the way, Freya is generally a very versatile goddess. She is the goddess of the earth and war and love and passion, lust, frankness, revenge, wealth, beauty, sincerity, fertility, and even the leader of the Valkyries. Frigg is also the goddess of love, but without vulgarity. She rather patronizes marriage and the home. We can talk about Freya for a long time, but this is already a topic for another video, so the last interesting fact, which is also about Freya. It's interesting, so don't even dare turn off the video. At the beginning of the game, we get acquainted with Freya under mysterious circumstances, although I would even say cringy circumstances. Atreus shoots her magic boar, after which Freya asks Kratos to help cure him. In the myth, Freya had a pet, a boar named Hildisvini, on which she also rode like her second transport. The first is a chariot drawn by cats. Anyway, seems that I told everything I wanted to say. If I missed something interesting, be sure to write in the comments. It will be interesting to read. And I will advertise my Patreon again. Please subscribe, support the release of videos. And also, now I will post my arts from the covers of videos and something else on Patreon. See you next game!